Hi, friends. Today I thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about the concept of regulation, in particular, the development of self regulation. So, as with many, many things in our lives, in our experience as a human, we are on a developmental process. So, an example would be of the way that we learn how to walk. We aren't born knowing how to walk, but over a series of developmental steps, we learn how to walk. So when an infant is first born, they don't know how to navigate that body at all. In fact, they don't even know, like, this hand is my hand. Like, I can make it move. I can do certain things. They don't even know how to coordinate what belongs to their own little body. So they have a lot of developmental processes to work through. Eventually, we get that little, getting ready to crawl, and they do that rocking thing on the ground with all four, they have two hands and two knees, taking in all the input from the senses about how the body moves in relationship to the ground. And then they start to stand up, and they start to feel their little muscles in their legs. And then, they can stand on their own. They can pull themselves up on their own. And then eventually they take steps into walking, and then they take steps into running. And then they take steps into being able to ride a bike or play soccer or whatever with those two legs, right? So it's development. We wouldn't expect a brand new infant to be running. We know that there's a series of steps between the time that you're born and the time that you're running that you develop. So similar with the concept of regulation. So regulation is our ability to deal with what is coming in through our senses, right? We're feeling creatures who think. We're not thinking creatures who feel. So we're taking in all of this information through our senses, and then we have to make sense of them and regulate them. So I thought I would show a little image here, if I can make my tech work for us today. Make Debbie small and in the corner, and bring up this fun little slide. So this is a slide about regulation. Make me smaller. Very small. Okay. This is a slide about regulation. There are a lot of little steps in between, but there are three kind of, let's say, stepping stones. And the three stepping stones would be other regulated, co-regulated, and self-regulated. And these aren't finite things. These are transitional things and fluid things. We kind of go back up and down the spectrum all the time throughout our life. I'll give some examples of that. But the idea of other regulated, co-regulated, and self-regulated is what we're going to be going through with this slide deck. Okay, so in this little slide, what we have is three examples of these stages of regulation development. And the first one, we have other regulated. So we could see in this picture, let's assume it's mom, and mom is competently holding this baby, conveying to the baby with that vibe. You can tell in her vibe, like, I got you. You're okay. So what we have with an infant is distress, clearly a distressed baby, doesn't know why and doesn't know how to work through it. So the baby's cry elicits a response from the caregiver. Caregiver steps in and offers her sense of regulation to the baby. And this is an instinct. It's natural for us. Scoop that baby up, comfort the baby, right? So we have this competent holding. She's even like gently cradling the head to offer even more support, holding the baby close to her heart and to her voice box. So we can get that sense from the baby that the baby can hear mom's heart. Mom's heart is nice and calm. Mom's not like, you're okay, it's all right, it's right? Mom is calm. I got you. Shh, you're okay. So baby's going to feel that heartbeat, nice and calm. I got you. Shh, shh, shh. And going to hear from mom's voice, a voice that if this is mom and this was mom that birthed this baby, this is a voice that the baby would know very well in terms of regulation. Attuned to that voice, I got you, you're okay, right? Of course, the baby doesn't know that the mom is saying you're okay, but the soothing sound of it, that calming voice, imbues that baby with a sense of, oh, we're okay. And then the slow breathing, steady and slow breathing, the baby can sense that, right? So the baby getting all of that sensory input. A lot of times we'll have a little rocking to go with it, a little bilateral stimulation for that baby. I got you. And that, will calm that baby down. So in this case, this is 100% other regulation. The baby isn't regulating themselves at all. The caregiver is doing 100% of the regulation. So then move to our second image. And this I thought was a perfect image for demonstrating co-regulation. So as we develop, we're learning how to regulate these feelings. So in this image, it looks to me like maybe an online medical appointment or something for this kiddo, because it looks like mom is like taking maybe his heart rate, or there's some medicines and stuff. But nevertheless, notice that the kiddo's face, he is in distress. Mom also is in distress, but in sort of like I don't know what you're talking about, or I'm going to solve it kind of a way. So mom is regulated. Kiddo is dysregulated, but working towards regulation. And mom is lending that strength. You could see she's wrapped her arm around her little guy. She's got a nice firm hook on him, steadying him. Her look is one of determination and support. I've got you. We are in this together. It's you and me against this distressing situation. Now, in this case, the distress seems to be coming from either the medical condition or the whatever's happening on the screen. But even if the feelings were just inside this little boy, I have some hurt feelings. Somebody said something awful to me and I have hurt feelings. It's you and me together working on those difficult feelings is what we're conveying in a co-regulation. So we're lending the support of the regulation. The kiddo is learning, okay, this is how we regulate through things. So it's a collaborative effort. You might also think of like somebody getting hurt. Okay, so like, let's say an 8-year-old is working on riding their bike and they've had some trouble with it and they fall off. I don't know what age they learn to ride bikes, but they fall off the bike, right? And they have an owie. They come running to the parent with the owie, right? So they're working together. Maybe 8's too old, but they're working together to solve the problem of the owie. So the kiddo's not off by himself, but also not regulating himself by himself. I'm going to come in, we're going to kiss the boo-boo, get a Band-Aid, give a hug, give it some encouragement, whatever, their little duo has worked out. It's a collaborative effort. It's co-regulation. So what we learn from those co-regulation experiences eventually turns into our ability to regulate on our own. So I'm assuming that anybody in this community is an adult who knows how to regulate their feelings. So, things like if you're hungry, you go throw something in the microwave, or run through, take yourself out to lunch or whatever. Like, I'm hungry, I'm going to go attend to the fact that I'm hungry, or I need to use the restroom, I'm going to attend to the fact that I need to use the restroom. It's not other regulated. Nobody's in charge of that for you. And it's not co-regulated. You're doing it for yourself. You are regulating yourself. Now, that's not to say that sometimes we don't, as adults, need still to lean into other regulation and self-regulation. Of course, it wouldn't be uncommon to come home from a difficult day or get through a difficult experience and need to go to your partner or a good friend and go, can I get a hug? Like, I'm having a hard time, or making a phone call to somebody. Can I talk to you about something that's bothering me? Those are examples of co-regulation in adulthood. Other regulation in adulthood would look like maybe after a surgery or after an accident, when somebody's like in shock or is a little bit out of it and they can't regulate themselves. The other is lending that regulation, like our nursing professionals are lending that regulation to their patients. Like, you're going to be fine. I'm right here. You're coming out of your anesthesia, offering that same supportive thing. This is the way that we relate to one another. So when I say there are 2 points about regulation, The first point is that it was developmental. We learn it across the lifespan. And the second point is that it's relationship dependent. So even in this third image that I have here on the slide of this young person just leaning back, clearly just being in the world by themselves, right? That's a regulated individual. If this person was hungry, they would get up and go get themselves some food. If they were sad, they might pick up they might try to talk to themselves in a way to say, like, come on, man, you're gonna be okay. Like, let's take care of ourselves, you know. Or if they needed support, they could lean onto a friend for, like, hey, can you go for a walk with me? Or can we talk about this issue? That is this developmental process, but this person wouldn't have gotten there if it hadn't been for the relationships that helped them learn how to do that. So you can see in the beginning, like this first picture with the infant, clearly relational. It has to be this, actually in both of those images, the caregiver who is attending to the kiddo has to be an important other. It can't be just a random person. It has to be the person who is trusted with sharing those vulnerable moments. Otherwise, the regulation doesn't happen. It just stays in distress. So yeah, 2 points: developmental process and a relational process. And that is what I have to share with you about regulation and regulation development. See you next time.